Hello, everybody. My name is Thomas Dimitrovich. Today is Tuesday, and oh man, what a day! And what a day! There's just a lot going on these days. We're in the middle of a code cycle, and I did a few sessions last week. Over the last few weeks, I think, basically talking about services, Article 230. And I'll tell you, I've gotten a lot of questions. I've got a lot of emails. I got a lot of questions that ask about, hey, good morning, Nihad. I got your file, buddy. Asking about service applications and also moving over into the discussion around separately derived systems. So my thought process was we sort of beat up service applications, and we had really good discussions. I could go on for ages because you have service applications that involve fire pumps and service applications with interconnected systems, Article 705, I think it is. So my thought process is we've gone through Article 230. We actually came up with some good public comments, which I've already submitted. And hey, Eduardo Campos, hello there, sir. So we came up with some good public comments around services, primarily because of, as you read the language in Article 230, and now that we have a new we just in the 2026 code cycle, we're introducing a new term for the service disconnecting means, a term we use quite frequently in the National Electrical Code. We're now defining a service disconnecting means, adding that clarity. The standards are changing to address that new term. And now we have to ensure that we are using the term correctly. And I'll give you an example. There is a section in 230. Yeah, Nihad, we'll have to schedule, keep our momentum going. In Article 230 for services, 230.4, I think it is, not 230.4. I'm looking at the 2020. I'm looking at the 2023 code, 80 something, 80. I'm trying to say, I think it's 86, 82. Yeah, 230.82. Equipment connected to the supply side of the service disconnect. So now we have a defined term for what a service disconnect is. We know what service equipment is. And if you look at some of the line items in 230.82, they'll tell you, for example, conductors used to supply the, so I'm looking at item 5 in 230.82, list item 5. Conductors used to supply energy management systems, circuits for standby power systems, fire pump equipment, and fire and sprinkler alarms if provided with service equipment. Well, how can you have service equipment installed ahead of service equipment? If it's service equipment, it's another service. So and you're going to have a service disconnecting means for those. So what we're seeing play out in the National Electrical Code is this discussion about cleaning up some of the language that, quite frankly, doesn't make sense. I understand the intent of what we were trying to do here. Like we say, solar photovoltaic systems. Photovoltaic systems can be connected on the line side of the service disconnecting means. Well, if the PV disconnect for that solar system, for that photovoltaic system, is a service disconnect and it's in service equipment, then it's not ahead of service the service disconnecting means, because it is a service and a service disconnecting means. And we have provisions elsewhere on the number of disconnects. In 230.71 tells us that surge protective, the disconnecting means for a surge protective device, the disconnecting means for power monitoring equipment, the disconnecting means for the control circuit for ground fault protection systems, and the disconnecting means for power operable service disconnecting means do not count as one of the maximum number of disconnects. So when you have a disconnect that is a service disconnect, and I can't say it's connected on the line side of the service disconnecting means because it is a service disconnect. If you have one and you say, well, we don't want this to count as one of the 6, then you go to 230.71 and you put that in the list item. I'm okay with all of the other, we can have the debate on whether or not it needs to be in 230.71a, whether it needs to be counted or not counted as one of the 6. But we can't say it's ahead of the service disconnect when it is a service disconnect. Catch my drift? So that's sort of the discussion that was playing out. So now, and then I've gotten a few questions. One was a very lengthy email, great insight. That basically begs the question of, is when you connect a photovoltaic system into the line side of the service disconnect, is that connection that conductor, is that a service conductor or not? And then we looking at the defined term of what a service is. And we made that change back in 2020, I think it was. We changed the defined term in 2020, but we keep talking about the interconnection of, say, a photovoltaic system or some other alternative energy supply. When if you connect into the line side of the service disconnecting means, then you're a service. You're going to end on a service disconnecting means. You're another service. That's all it is. And now that connection point, what you use with a termination, whether it's a split bolt or if it's one of those Polaris things that have the multiple taps or a power distribution block, there are those have to be listed and identified for that application because they're on the line side of a service disconnect. Means they don't have a protective device associated with them. It's downstream. So that is the area, and I believe there is a section in here for that connection point. Where's it at? Maximum number, not surge. I thought it was. It's not underground. It's not overhead. It's the stuff that's permitted on the line side of the service. Oh, is it still emergency disconnect? I don't want the required locked service protection. There is, oh man, I tell you, I'm drawing a blank for when you connect into the line side of a service disconnect. But in any case, that was a discussion for those other presentations, those other live streams. Geoffrey Romani, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Gotta keep pushing that ball downstream. So here's my thought process is that now that we understand a service, and I'm getting questions on things related, but they're not services, they're feeders. Okay, and then like a generator interaction, I've gotten that question since my last call. I had a question on how we changed the definition of a service and how that relates to photovoltaics. I also had a question on whether or not just a transformer is a service. When you put in a transformer, that's the so I was getting questions around separately derived systems. So that's what I'm going to focus on now. I'm going to get into discussing generator applications and also transformer applications. When you have, say, a delta Y ground transformer, and how we establish that separately derived system. And then we'll take a look at the code requirements around that, those applications, both from a generator perspective, because that's going to be obviously like two low-hanging fruits around separately derived systems. Generators, when you bond, and we'll talk about that, and transformers. Not all transformers are separately derived. Some transformers are. Many transformer applications that you'll come across are separately derived systems. So we'll take a look at separately derived systems. We'll take a look at some diagrams. You guys can make fun of my my drawings and all that jazz. But we're going to explore those systems. We'll get into Article 250. Now, in Article 250, grounding and bonding, there is, if you, separately, there is a section in there, and for some reason, I don't know about you, but for some reason, I want to put two R's in derived. I don't get it. But 250.35 is the area in Article 250 that's going to speak to grounding and bonding requirements. And there's a separately derived system, and I believe 250.35A is separately derived, and I believe B is non-separately derived systems. And then we'll get into your what do you call it? Not legally required, optional standby systems, Article 702. You'll get into 702. We probably will get into legally required standby systems, 701. But in those other applications, those are other areas in the code that will speak to the application of generators. And then whenever you have that generator, again, you're going to have to make a decision. Do you bond? Do you not bond in that generator? Do you want to make it a separately derived system? Do you not want to make it a separately derived system when it does and doesn't make sense? And then how to fix the problem when you find it in the field, when you don't have a transfer switch that is married to the generator and how it's wired and configured. Because whenever you go separately derived in a generator application, that transfer switch has to switch to neutral. We'll talk about that. We'll show you some diagrams on how that's achieved. And in Article 240, we'll talk about transformer secondary conductors for separately derived systems. And probably, I don't think there's anything... I'm not sure about 450. I know in 445 for generators, you'll have some language. Article 250 for grounding and bonding, obviously. Article 240. 702, definitely. We'll take a look at 701 and 700 and 708 too. I mean, all of those areas will probably have generator applications. We'll see if there's anything in there. We'll look at some terms associated with the separately derived system, your main bonding jumper, your supply side bonding jumper. What else? We'll talk about just bonding, just equipment grounding conductors and how we bond all the equipment together, whether it's a separately derived or a non-separately derived system. We have to understand bonding must go on. We can't live without bonding. Got to bond. Trying to think if there's any other. Talk about the bonding jumper. well, and once we get into these separately derived systems, we're talking feeders. So we have to understand what a feeder is. Let's take a look at what the defined term is. We'll take a look at transformer secondary conductors. Again, in Article 240, remember transformer secondary conductors for separately derived systems, your delta Y ground transformer type of application. That secondary conductor will have rules that'll have to follow. And we just made changes in Article 215 for the 2023 code cycle. You're going to want to we'll review those. We're going to get as much. I have a feeling that we will be going through multiple sessions on separately derived systems. 1 hour probably is not going to cut it, but we're going to do what we can with what we got. I got the link down below to the IAEI News Live session. Got the link down below for the IAEI News Live session, so I'll hope you will be able to link to that and hit the bell. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. On my channel, we are, let me see. Let me switch my account. We are 10 away from breaking the 6,000 mark. I really appreciate it. I need 10 more people to get to 6,000. I don't know why. I want to just get to 6,000. I think that'll be fun to hit the 6,000. I don't do any advertising. It's all word of mouth and through my LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube. But on YouTube, I am 10 away from getting my 6,000 mark, which is kind of cool for me. I appreciate everybody dialing in. I appreciate the sharing in the chats and all that jazz. So I am working on the slides for the separately derived system, trying to put together all of my different diagrams. So I don't know if I'm going to get this or not, but yeah. So footer generic. I see what's wrong. There we go. So I am trying to put some drawings together, basically, to basically demonstrate when we have the bonding in the generator and how that whole transfer goes through. So I'm trying to, don't make fun of my drawings, but I'm trying to make these a little bit better than what they are. I will be talking about the grounding and bonding in the generator and how that goes down to ground when I'm doing a separately derived system. I will be showing and thinking and having a discussion around the main bonding jumper that will be in the transfer switch application, how we switch the neutral when we are grounded and bonded as a separately derived system. And then what we'll do is we'll take this drawing and modify it. Well, I don't know if it'll be this exact drawing. I want to draw all three phases, but it gets really, really busy to show how the transfer goes on. I'll try to figure a way to do that eventually. But during this call, this session today, I'm going to be working on the slides to develop for an IAEI program and donate those to IAEI so that we have educational materials around topics like the services and separately derived systems and things of that nature. And so some of these, like this is that one red line represents all three phases, A, B, and C. And then I break out the neutral to show that. I will clean up this diagram, hopefully, and then walk through how we, some of the concepts and ideas for separately derived versus non-separately derived. What if we bought the wrong transfer switch? How do we fix that? Very cost effectively, inexpensively. So we'll hit all of those applications and basically walk through how the ground is separate. This is the grounding for when we're on the generator when we switch to neutral. This is the grounding for when we are on the utility normal side, how it's grounded and bonded. So, and we'll talk about that surge protective device and all that jazz. So these are the this will be the application that we will be basically looking at from a separately derived system. And then I'll also show I'll pull in a generator, or I'm sorry, a transformer, and we'll show the bonding of that and all that jazz. So, and we'll talk about that, and I'll be looking for your input on the IAEI News Live session today. So I'm hopefully, I'm looking forward to a fun session today on IAEI News Live, and I thought the utility transfer secondary is typically a Y grounded and not delta. Well, that was a corner grounded delta system. So I think the key word there in your note, Nihad, is typically. So the utility may employ different types of transformers based upon the applications. So in any case, for this one application, which was a real world application with a customer of ours, a customer of mine, he had a corner grounded delta, and he said it was a utility transformer, so that's how I drew it. But yeah, so in many cases, it's a Y to Y application. I should probably just draw a black box, because the utility configurations will probably be generic or vary. So, yes, roommate. We'll take a look at delta Y ground for DC rectification. Interesting. Grounded secondary that is wired delta Y for DC rectification. So yeah, so I want to come up with different scenarios, help us understand how we already talked about that the utility requires you to pull that neutral and bond it, all that good stuff. So we'll hit it. We're going to hit it. We're going to talk about it and continue our discussions and our journey into separately derived systems. I have been working on some slides, Nihad, for this discussion, and I go to Window, separately derived systems. Here we go. So I'm looking at the generator and trying to do, when I sit down in the evening and work on stuff, I'm trying to draw out the generator application where we have a separately derived system. So we have to have the bonding, and this bar is bonded, and then I bring my grounding electrode conductor out to the grounding electrode, and then I bring my neutral down to the service equipment from the generator, and that's all bonded together because it's a separately derived system. And I got to draw this a little differently because I think, here's what I'm thinking. I think that I should put in a neutral bar. Here's my thought process. Control C, V. I should probably do this. And I'm going to color this one. I am going to color this a silver. And I'm going to put a black put a black background to it to show it being insulated from the we'll give it a shadow, and we will give it a bevel. Actually, not a bevel, we'll give it one of these. And then what I have to do is bring this all to the front. Control Shift F and take this. So that shows that it is not terminated. Not sure how to, I don't want to have to draw that one again. Control Shift Front. And then what I will do is you hold this Option key down and you just drag that over. And let's do this. Control Shift Command F. Got to show the copper, you know what I'm saying? How do I? Shift Command F. All right. So what I'll end up doing is putting a bar between the two. I'll put a jumper in. I'll do one of these. And I will move this up. And we will put a jumper in. Now this jumper basically is, what color would I give it? Oh man, I'll give it a black color and let's make it thicker. So this jumper is what you would either keep in or remove, dependent upon, I'm not sure if I like that. I'll make it white. I'm going to make it white. And we'll give it some texture. There we go. So that jumper is what would, and then I would need to draw that, right? Come over here, go home, format. There it is. Give it one of those. Bring that to front. Delete that. And we'll make a copy of this. Bring that up here. And Control Shift Front. Control Shift F. Why didn't it work? All right, we'll just copy this puppy. All right, so now I have my neutral coming from the generator. I have it on this neutral bar. I have the neutral bar bonded with the equipment grounding bar, and the grounding bar, Control Shift Front. The ground, this is where I get my grounding electrode. I'll just move this up a little bit further. So that's my grounding electrode conductor going to my grounding electrode. So that's establishing my separately derived system. And if I don't want a separately derived system, I just delete that and I delete the bond, and it's a non-separately derived system. So there will be a jumper inside the generator that gives me that connection. Control Shift. Make sense? Zoom in. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one, Control Shift F. There we go. So that's basically what's going on in the generator. So what I want to try to do is just show that how it's wired, and then the instructions will tell you, and I'll pull up, you know what, I should be able to pull up some instructions that talks about the removal of that bonding strap. Because that's sort of how that goes. That's how that puppy rolls. So anyway, that's we will be talking separately derived systems today at 12 o'clock. We're going to go through some details for the applications, and hopefully you get something out of it. And we'll go through the different code sections and whatnot at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern. I'm not even looking at comments. Robert from Omaha. Hey, connoisseur. I'm an artist. Secondary delta Y is to get 6 phases to smooth DC ripple. Interesting, roommate. Excellent. All right, so that's what we're going to be talking about today at 12. We're going to hit separately derived systems. We will hopefully get something out of our discussion today. I don't know, either that or I will become an artist. One or to other, and that's all I got to say about that. So we will, hopefully, we'll look forward to seeing everybody on IAEI News Live today at 12 o'clock Eastern. We're going to have some fun talking separately derived systems. All right? So we will see you, hopefully, at 12 o'clock. I lost all my chats. Dadgummit. I hit refresh. There they are. Ground rod on non-separately derived? No, roommate. So here's what I would do. If I would do a non-separately derived system, I would do this. I would delete, and I would delete. So that would be my non-separately derived system. Now, I have to think about the grounding, right? So I've got to bond this equipment. So I can either use the raceway as bonding, or I'll have to bring in my equipment grounding conductor. But this generator would have to be bonded with the rest of the system. So we got to make sure we have the right bonding in place and all that jazz. Right, just like over here. Oh, you're not even. I'm not even showing you that. So let me show you what I just did. Oh boy. I'll show you what I just did. So let's do this. I'm going to copy this again. Control C. Come down here. Delete, Control V. So here's what I would do. This is sort of roommate. This is what I what I did while you weren't looking. So I would delete my rod. I would delete that. I would delete the bonding in between the two. And then my comment was, I just have to make sure. You'll notice I have a bond with the enclosure of this generator, but I'll have to carry that bond through to the transfer switch that this goes to, because all of those have to be bonded together. All right. So now, if you want to put it, I've seen people put ground rods at generators. I mean, if you want to do that, you can do it. Don't have to. I wouldn't, but that's just me. If you put a ground rod there, there's nothing that says you are not permitted to do that. Okay. So, but that's basically what I would do. Keep those two separate. I'm pulling my neutral, and I just have to think about bonding with my transfer switch. And let me go to window. And I would pull in this C. window, Control V, and I'll do a group, ungroup. That separates everything. Delete that. I don't know if there's any text in there. What this is. Yep, that's an arrow. So in any case, that's, and then you would be coming to this transfer switch from the generator. So you would be connecting to the emergency side, not the normal side. This breaker would be on the normal side. So in any case, oh, I have to show the circuit breaker. That's the other thing I'm missing. I'm missing the circuit breaker over here. Ah, grasshopper. I am missing a circuit breaker. So what I've got to do, let's take that up there. I've got to put, I got to put a device like this in there, right? That's what I got to do. Oh, delete. So that is what I've got to do. I have to put a circuit breaker. So, and it'll be a 3-pole. So I've got to change this device out. And that's a picture. So I'll have to go find my original image. So in any case, roommate, yeah. I am going to, I'm going to have to put my circuit breaker on there. Yeah. I'll have to address the supply side bonding jumpers. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm here to tell you. We will have a lot to talk about. How you like my little drawing there, huh? My little flex? So, we're going to have a lot to talk about on the generator. I'll have to wire that up the right way. Put my circuit breaker in, show all 3 phases coming in, 3 phases coming out. Going to the, because that's a feeder at that point. Coming out of that circuit breaker. And that's a feeder that goes over to the transfer switch. I'll have to make my transfer switch a little bit bigger. So you can see how very quick and how busy that drawing is going to get. So this is going to be a fun discussion. We're going to fly by the seat of our pants, buddy. All right, I've got to get back to work. I got a lot of work to do between now and when we go live at 12. So not on this. And I'll probably pick up on this presentation, this slide, and this discussion exactly where we just left off. But I've got work to do. So hopefully everybody out there will see you at 12 o'clock. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit that thumbs up if you find it valuable. If you don't find it valuable, just move on. Scroll up. All right. Thanks for everything. Thanks, Nihad. Thank you, roommate 625. Robert from Omaha, all that jazz. We will see y'all at 12 o'clock Eastern. Take care, stay safe, and please stay healthy.